Life continually throws us challenges, forcing us to question, resolve, and then rediscover. When we're in the midst of a struggle, it can be a real challenge to get back to being focused. Over the last few years, I've been documenting and reflecting on these moments and mapping out what works for me to get me back on track. I call this an adversity blueprint. Essentially, it's a plan or strategy that outlines how to respond to an outcome or situation you're likely to encounter. In my experience, there are a handful of scenarios that we will all encounter potentially multiple times in our lives. For example, heartbreak, lack of motivation, loss of a loved one, or some career setbacks. Now, I found two approaches to developing this plan that work for me. Firstly, documenting what works for you to overcome and find resolutions during or just after the situation has passed. And this is an optimal time because it's when the journey is most fresh. The second approach is to sit down now and consider the possible scenarios that you might encounter and consider what approaches might work best for you. The second approach is to sit down now and consider possible scenarios that you may encounter and what approach might work best. Now, in both instances, you need to have this information documented. It can't just be in your head. I suggest creating a folder on your OneDrive or your chosen cloud-based server system. Within the folder, create a Word document and title it Adversity Blueprint. Then, in the Word document itself, using headings for each of the key potential adversaries, and then under each of these headings, use dot points and populate with things that might help you in time of need. Then you can refer back to this document when you need. For example, if dealing with the loss of a family member or close friend, I think it's important to allow time to properly grieve. And depending on you, it might be something that you need to work through with your psychologist. Or have that one friend who has also experienced a similar loss. And then when you're experiencing this, you just refer to those dot points and know what to do. Another example might be dealing with lack of motivation to train or go to the gym. And while you might not consider this an adversity, it can have a depressive state on you mentally, and if left unresolved for a long period, could result in the issue compounding. For me, when I'm experiencing lack of motivation, I have a set of motivational songs that always re-motivate me and get me going again. And I guess as a final example, it's something that we all probably experienced in the last couple of years. What did you find out about how you coped with yourself during lockdowns, that forced isolation? What coping mechanisms did you discover that worked for you? Writing them down now will help you if you ever have to go through a similar situation or hardship again. Now, this is a hard document to continually update and reflect on. However, having a plan, even if not 100%, is better than having no plan at all. So what works for you when you're faced with adversity? And what things might you be putting in your adversity blueprint?